She's in the pink and all. The condition, I couldn't get this bird no better than what I've got it now. It's nearly impossible. I have to take them down to the marking, and we mark at the Greenland Road Working Men's Club.
Ernest, please, next.
What I mean with marking is we take them down, and we have to have our bird's metal ring read off. And when that's checked, we have a rubber ring put on the bird's leg.
71942. 62618, look. Double 1, 5.
When you hand your race sheet in, you also hand in your pool money, and you collect your winnings from the previous week's race, if you've anything to come.
And your list there with all your pools on and all added up, and that's your total.
Right, thank you.
All the best.
Yeah.
Eddie.
All right, Ben.
Hello, Ernest.
All right, Ernest. Yes.
All right.
Well, thank you.
Have you got them fit?
Been bleeding well, I don't know about that.
E. Pickering and Son.
17 birds.
Yes.
17 birds up to 5p.
Yes.
10 at 13.
Yes.
2 at 25.
Yes.
1 in 25 loft pool.
Yes.
2 at 50p.
Yes.
2 at 100p.
Yes.
1 at 200p.
Yes.
1 at 300p.
Yes.
Clock fee 10p.
Yes.
Total amount £20.52p.
Right.
Has it got some change?
2052, yes.
Yeah, sorry to give you that one. Well, after the birds have been checked, they're taken to the main centre, and that's where the main transport is waiting for them. And pigeons are then collected from all over the area there, and they all loaded up on the main transporter, and then off they go to France.
He has little desire, or even as he sees it, need, to take a similar journey himself.
I was bred and born in Darnall, and the happy, friendly people in Darnall. I've been all over, we've been in army, but I've always been glad to get back. And I don't want to shift from Darnall. I went to school in Darnall, I've got all my friends in Darnall, I know everybody in Darnall. And above all, we've got best pigeon flying club, and that's in Darnall. Well, this is March Sea, where I was born, and down here's where I live. I race pigeons down here, and had some happy hours. Funny, I've had some sad hours as well. All the happy down at yard as regards with pigeons were, because in yard there were 6 houses, and out of the 6 houses, I had Uncle Walt, Auntie Sib, Auntie Ann, and Uncle Larry. So that were 5 of us, all living in one yard. I could do practically all I wanted with pigeons. This school at back here, called Resort School. Now that's where I were educated as a kid. And as you can see, them oils in railing, that's when I bent them railings to get my basket through to take my pigeons off. I used to have to run with them all there, catch a lorry up top there, and he used to take them off me and take them training, so I had to bend them railings. Yes, it's altered Darnall, there's no doubt about it, and I don't think it's altered for the best. A lot of people don't like it. It is industrial area, we know that. But I think they're spoiling it now with what they're doing. There's nowhere for kids to play. I mean, when I was a kid, I could go and play on fields, play in Tinsley Park Wood. Now all that's took over with firms. And they don't seem to be making any playing fields when they take them over. For the Darnall kids. We must have had about 20 picture palaces at one time, what we had to cliff. And the picture palaces were up Darnall. They've shut them all up, made bingo holes on them. I mean, when you go walking round now, you see kids in groups of 10s and 12s. There's no wonder there's hooliganism. Hi, Dwelling, all right?
Yes, you.
Where's Bill?
Okay.
You got it?
Yes, we'll be feeding pigeons.
I want to get off now because I've got to fetch clocks myself. Anyway, I'll see you today.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jerry.
Now then, Ernest, what are you looking for, lad? Hey?
Oh, I want a pound of red apples.
Pen of these here.
Been grand this morning, but it's turning. We're looking at it, isn't it?
I should be surprised to get a shot or two.
Oh, we won't get some red.
It'll do some good if we do, you know, lad. Yeah, will that, lad?
The close-knit community in which he lives means that Ernest Pickering knows everyone by first name, and they all know him. He realises only too keenly what can be lost when such communities are improved by planning.
I mean, they're pulling our houses down now. We don't want to shift them, we're not going to shift. I mean, I've just bought my house. I don't know what I'm going to get for it. When they pull it down, they're going to recompensate me for a house. Then they're going to put me in a new house at £9 a week rent. So choose what they give me, how long's that going to last me? And then I've got no to end in it. There's no for me.
Billy! Come and get your tea.
Well, Loris, my wife, and I have lived in this house for 12 years. She was born in it, in fact. Well, now we've got all my family here now, we're all together. As they come every weekend, bring our little granddaughter down. My son Ron's wife, Susan, and her little daughter Julie.
Got plugged down. There's just that garden, all them tomato plants. Outdoors.
The other twin, Jeffrey, and my youngest son, Philip. We always have a get-together every weekend. Well, I've been married 23 years. Now, as for my wife with pigeons, well, she's had it ever since we've been courting. She know what she was laying herself in for, I think. And she's one in a million.
We haven't got time to know.
The next day brings him to the early shift, a 6 o'clock start at the hammer, up well before that, in a pattern that he finds easy from long habit.
When I'm on mornings, I start at 6 o'clock in the morning, and living in here in Craven Road, I walk it to work. It only takes me 10 minutes, and as I'm going on, I pass this new housing estate at bottom, and well, I look at it and I think to myself, well, I hope I don't have to have one of them houses, because I think my own house is better than what they're putting up. Oh, there's a lot of people here. And we're like a family of people. I mean, they shifted my father and mother from down March Street, and now at end of my father, he didn't want to shift. He was a badly man. He worked down pit all his life, and he got rheumatoid arthritis, and my mother had got bronchitis. Very, very bad. And if they were out wrong with him, next door neighbour were in. And if she couldn't get, another neighbour were in. And they used to look after him if we couldn't get down. They shifted him and they put him up manor out of Darnall. I think he lasted about 18 months. We buried him last year, November. We never see him, and I don't think he knew next door neighbour. And there's a lot of old age people like that. Sending them when they shift him. You can't just go and take people out of the houses and uproot them and pop them somewhere else they forgot about once they shift them.
The working life of Darnall is centred on steel. From his earliest days, Ernest remembers looking at men of his age now and recognising in them his future. The one industry life of Darnall explains the bond between people that Ernest finds, the close family atmosphere of the shops, the streets, the pubs and clubs. And because the work is so hard and dangerous, this family feeling is centred around the men of Darnall. It's a male-oriented community.
Well, the work under the hammer is dangerous, yes. In fact, I think there's a lot of jobs dangerous. But I think it's exceptionally dangerous in our trade, because you'll see sparks flying off of bars, and if they catch you in, it's very bad. I've had it myself. clothing, you get special allowance for your clothing. We've been very lucky, our set, but we all get minor burdens, and the firm supply all the protective clothing, but it's wearing it on these jobs, such as goggles. I myself, I can't wear them, and I've been on the hospital. I've just got discharged about a fortnight since for a burn in my eyes. But all the protective clothing they did, they provided fire by the firm, boots and everything. Sometimes there's that much noise, we have to give hand signals, foot signals and egg signals, especially your head for the hammer driver. Nodding of the head and shacking of the head means heavy, hit it hard, shake your head, hit it light. They always say, the old saying is practice makes perfect, and the years you are in the trade, the better you are at it. There's some who come into this trade and, well, you just might as well get out in it. If you've got a good team of men working fire, you can't go wrong. But if you've got one slacker, you don't want to be trying to do his job because it's too heavy. It's heavy enough because you're doing your own job. When I get home, sometimes, you're dashing about for pigeons and that and one thing and another, and sometimes you just sit in chair and you fall asleep, and especially when you've been on guarding all morning and you're on afternoons and sun's shining, you don't feel like going down there and pulling these bars up and down all day. And wife's always telling me to get off the job, pack it in, get another job. And when you see some people and their jobs, it makes you wonder why we're stopping it, because there's so little comparison. I look forward to every weekend, especially when pigeon racing, especially this week with big race being from our branches.
Ernest's work calls for 8 hours of continuous concentration. When his shift is over, it's no surprise that his mind turns to the different rhythm of tomorrow's race. 325 miles away, on Saturday morning, the birds are released.
On Saturday mornings, we go down to the Greenland Road Working Men's Club to await the news of the pigeons' release.
Hello? They're up. 7:30.
At the club, the clock setter is setting each individual clock. He's putting dials on them and getting them ready to be pulled off by the master timer. Every clock has to be pulled off by a different person, as you cannot pull your own clock off. That's to ensure as everything's on the up and up.
Half a minute.
You over that bandage, kid.
The club's trophies are an indication of how serious a game it all is. The Avalanche race is one of the top events of the year.
10. 5. Go! Now, anybody's not gone.
You're bang on,
When we get to know the time of the release, we roughly work out a time, what we think it'll take them, and then we go up on the allotment and we wait for them coming home. Can you hear them? Who's that better? Come on here. Come on, lad. Come on. Come on here. Come on.
The pigeons have flown from below the Cherbourg Peninsula over what for the ferries is a 5-hour sea crossing and north to Darnall in one hop. As soon as Ernest's bird returns to the coop, he must take off its rubber race ring, put it in a thimble and time it into the clock. And then down to the club, there's the agonising wait for the scrutineers.
How's that for that? Right. Well, the clocks have got to be checked before they know who's won the race. But I think I have a good chance, and it'll be worth round about £100 if I do win it.
You want to be 20 minutes, Ernest. Come wonderful, you pigeon. Come wonderful.
And of course, with such a bird as Tarzan, he has won, in a time of just over 9 hours, or a bit longer than one shift at the forge.
Of course, we're going out for the zinc tonight. Not that I wouldn't have been going if I'd have lost, as Iris and me always go to the Darnall Liberal Club on a Saturday night. It's a family get-together. We go there every Saturday night.
Excuse me.
Hello again. Hello.
I've got a happy life now, and I've had a very happy life, especially a good married life. But I've always said this, 8 hours work, 8 hours play and 8 hours sleep, you're leading a full life. Well, biggest regret I've got, and that's education. I'd have loved to have a good education. And I haven't had it. And I think that spoiled a lot of chances what I could have had. Everything else, nothing could have changed, only I might have got my family to be a lot better off, we'll say, but as regards for getting them any happier, it's impossible to get them any happier. We are one happy family.
On first thing 5 o'clock next morning, waiting for birds.
Last Friday, in perfect pigeon racing weather, 5,000 birds from the north of England set out in a marathon race, one of the most important international events in the pigeon fancier's calendar. The winner was clocked in at its loft in Northumberland the following day, but 3,500 are still missing.
The really appalling thing from the pigeon fancier's point of view is that these are the best birds. It was about the longest day of the year. It was one of the longest marathon fights that they do, and their best birds have got lost. These aren't young birds which get lost in training or anything like that, it's the best ones.
The pigeons were released from towns in central France. Their 500-mile flight back to the north of England should have taken less than 24 hours. A week later, there are a number of ideas about what happened to the missing birds. The favourite theory, the pigeons were sent off course when a solar flare, an explosion of gases on the sun's surface, disrupted the Earth's magnetic field, which the pigeons use for guidance. But no one is completely sure about how pigeons find their way home, and some fanciers are blaming radio waves, the weather, even microwave ovens for what's happened. Some birds, tired and no doubt with a tale to tell, if only they could, are still turning up. Others have been spotted, completely lost, in various parts of the country. It's likely that a few will join the pigeons in Trafalgar Square. Apparently, more than one of the birds that pleased the sightseers was a racing pigeon that just couldn't find its way home.
And that was the 6 o'clock from France. Mystery surrounds the disappearance, and even veteran fanciers say they've never known anything like it. This report from Mike McCarthy.
The birds were released in what experts thought were perfect conditions. On the morning they began their flight from France, there was just a light northeasterly breeze. 600 pigeons from Sheffield were freed, less than 30 returned. The race began almost 500 miles from Sheffield near Bourges in central France. Odd sightings of stray ringed pigeons have been reported in Cornwall, Oxford and as far north as Blackpool. As for the rest, their whereabouts remains a mystery. At the pigeon lofts in Darnall at Sheffield, the fanciers can only watch and wait.
It's been pretty upsetting. Most of them have been on the lofts until it goes dark at night. They've been on first thing 5 o'clock next morning waiting for birds, and it's been a pretty upsetting 3 days, I would think.
Tonight, more pigeons from Sheffield will be released in a flight from the south of England. But fanciers are worried that something strange may be disturbing the very air in which the birds fly.
One fancier said that it's radar, you know, it's been put down to radar. Since all the rockets have been up, fanciers have said that it's you know, if aerosols are disrupting the ozone layer, so are these rockets, and this is what's doing it. And nobody knows actually how they find their way home, so nobody knows what is actually disrupting them, you know, from finding their way back. It could be weather, it could be other things, you know, but nobody knows.
Other theories involve sonic booms and even microwave ovens. But whatever the explanation, it's been a long time since fanciers have suffered such a loss.
1947 was a very bad race for young birds when there were 35 got home from Dinard.
And you've not known anything as bad since then?
No, I can't remember what was bad.
Come on.
Though a pigeon's homing instinct is remarkably strong, one small mistake, say experts, can send them way off course.
If they're out by a little bit, then a bird which was trying to get back to a loft in Leeds, for instance, and it gets displaced by, say, 5 degrees, might end up in Dublin. Now, it won't know how to get from Dublin to Leeds because it hasn't been trained.
The new drama
Looking for a pigeon loft on the eastern outskirts of Sheffield is a walk through land and barricades of rusted corrugated iron, long abandoned front doors, working men's palisades to keep in those barking dogs, the chickens and the geese. Everybody else, keep out. What was that story? A Yorkshireman goes into a hat shop in London. "What's your pleasure?" says a hoity-toity assistant. "Me pleasure's women and pigeons," he says, "but just for now, I want a flat hat." Well, this is flat hat country where passions run high for greyhounds and for pigeons. Simple pleasures? Don't you believe it. This is a tale of two Harolds, friendly and deadly rivals in the art of breeding and flying pigeons. Harold Simpson, 79 this year, has been flying pigeons since he was 12. Harold Denton's 77, 57 years a pigeon man and the respected president of the Darnall Homing Society for 25 of them. A pigeon loft is a place of secrets, nosy parkers to be kept out. This allotment is a guarded sanctuary at £11 rent a year to the Duke of Norfolk. When you break the barricades of suspicion, the talk is of champion flyers who have gone and champion flyers to come. Harold Simpson's loft is recycled wartime prefabs.
I think they'll do well out channel these, some of these. These are all young birds. There's 45 in here now, young birds. This is one Harold, what I'm thinking of sending to Pickerville.
Pickerville.
277 miles. I've 10 going to Classics next week.
Nice cockbird this all.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say.
Now then, this one, when we had a race last week, won out £80, and she's going to Pickerville, this one. She's got a young one, her own young one, this one. And it's one I bought from Mazzarella's. I bought 6 last year from Mazzarella.
Just in case you're wondering, he's one of the country's top breeders. Pigeon fancying is a love affair. You can feel the affection they have for their birds, and pride in the birds that can fly further and faster than competitors down the road.
This started when I was 12 with a pair my dad bought me, like, and then built 1 or 2 up, and I didn't start racing while I was 21.
How many races do you enter a year, would you say?
12 old bird races and 9 young birds. A lot of them like pigeons, what they call apple-bodied, they like a round. Well, I think them apple-bodied pigeons are better for flying channel than inland, see. They have sprinters in inland. So these sprinters, some of them won't fly channel because they're not bred for channel, for distance. Then you have your distance pigeons.
And what do you like flying mostly?
Well, my pigeons will fly short distance, they fly long distance, but I like channel racing, me. If you want to race in inland, you've got to thin your corn down. You don't want heavy corn because the pigeons will get too fat, you don't want heavy corn. But when you get near channel, you've got to build it up a bit, thicken it. But I like a lot of Indian corn in mine when I get to channel.
Is that one of your secrets?
It puts that weight on, a bit of weight on. You've got to have a bit of weight on for channels, it's no good.
As well as his secrets, every successful pigeon man has his hall of fame. The races that defied storms and winds, often to cover 500 miles from France back to a whitewashed loft in Sheffield, and to put other people's noses out of joint. What's that one called?
Stay Bright.
Stay Bright.
He won 2 National Open Union medals, him. That's a big award to win, one.
Yeah.
He won 2.
Yeah.
And he won longest race twice. And Stainless here, he's a great pigeon. He's won plenty of races.
Stainless, obviously both Stay Bright and Stainless called after the steel business.
Yes. I named them after the steelworks I've worked in.
I mean, if you release a pigeon 560 miles away, it gets its head in the air and goes like hell for home.
Oh, yes.
Well, why should it?
I don't think anybody knows, do they? They've not found out yet.
No.
You say it goes with sun and all like that, but if there's no sun, how do they go?
Yeah, but that's how they do it. What worries me is, why do they want to?
No.
Well, they have to get him back home to sit the eggs, like, you know.
I see. You usually have them with some eggs waiting to be sat at home.
Not have them a bit keen at this end.
Keen at this end? Who keener with all those trophies to your name? Thank goodness pigeon racing is without cheating. After all, the clock cannot lie, can it?
They're being caught, putting them in the oven to warm them up to make them gain. Because the more they gain, the better it is for you.
I see.
Because if it's gained about 5 seconds and they put it in the oven, and well, there's one in our club what did it once, they put it in the oven, it gains about 10 seconds. Well, it's 5 seconds different from in timing that pigeon from getting this thing. So
did he win or was he spotted?
No, they disqualified him.
And as I said, simple pleasure. Good pigeon men who spend more time with their pigeons than with their wives can make it pay. Winning races means winning money in a complex system of pools and side bets which I don't begin to understand. And did you ever wonder why they have this trellis on the roof of the lofts? It's to stop tired returning racers dropping on the top of the loft and losing vital seconds. It's not easy for an outsider like me to understand the obsession which makes a good pigeon man. It's a small world where a little man can walk tall and be the best. But how long, one wonders, can a pigeon man continue to return to the loft?
I'll keep it up while I can still keep walking up.